Rajesh Kumar and Seda Kumar's wedding was supposed to be the happiest day of their lives. The couple, coming from different backgrounds but bound by tradition, had just completed a grand celebration. Friends and family gathered to bless the newlyweds, celebrating their union with music, rituals, and heartfelt speeches. But within hours, everything changed. The next morning, Seda was found lifeless in their room, and Rajesh had disappeared without a trace. What was supposed to be the beginning of a lifelong journey turned into a chilling crime scene. Police were immediately called, and an investigation began. The family, devastated, struggled to understand how their beloved daughter could be gone. But as authorities began to dig deeper, a disturbing truth unraveled, one rooted in cultural expectations, honor, and the weight of tradition. What really happened that night? Was this an act of uncontrollable rage, or was there something even more sinister at play? This case highlights the dangerous consequences of societal pressures and deep-seated beliefs about purity and honor. In this episode of True Crime, we explore the murder of Seda Kumar, the manhunt for her missing husband, and the cultural forces that led to a shocking tragedy on what should have been a joyous night. Rajesh Kumar was a 28-year-old software engineer raised in a deeply conservative family. His upbringing instilled in him strict values about marriage, honor, and family reputation. As the eldest son, he was expected to uphold traditions and set an example for his younger siblings. He was known to be disciplined, reserved, and respectful of his parents' wishes. When they arranged his marriage to Seda Kumar, he accepted it without question, believing that love could grow with time. Seda Kumar, on the other hand, was a 24-year-old literature graduate with a more liberal upbringing. She valued education and independence but also respected her parents' wishes. Though she had dreams of pursuing further studies, she agreed to the arranged marriage out of love and duty. Unlike Rajesh, Seda was open-minded and modern in her thinking, but she also understood the cultural expectations placed on her. While she hoped for a happy marriage, she never anticipated that her past could become a matter of life and death. Rajesh and Seda lived in a city that was modern on the surface but still deeply rooted in traditional beliefs. One of the most controversial yet widely accepted customs in some parts of the world is the expectation of a bride's virginity. In many conservative families, a woman's purity before marriage is considered a direct reflection of her family's honor. This belief leads to harmful practices, including the expectation of blood-stained sheets after the wedding night as proof of virginity. Failure to meet this expectation can result in severe consequences, from public shame and humiliation to violence or even murder. Many women suffer in silence, fearing the backlash of a society that places such an immense burden on them. For Rajesh, this expectation was not just a belief, but an unshakable truth. He had been raised to see virginity as a non-negotiable trait in a wife, something that symbolized loyalty and purity. When he discovered that Seda did not meet this expectation, his world shattered. What was supposed to be the start of their life together turned into a night of betrayal in his eyes. This moment would ultimately push Rajesh over the edge, leading to a horrifying act of violence that no one could have predicted. The wedding of Rajesh and Seda was a grand affair. Hundreds of guests attended, dressed in their finest clothing, enjoying the elaborate rituals and feasts. The couple performed traditional ceremonies, exchanging vows and receiving blessings from elders. Everything seemed perfect. Rajesh's parents were proud, and Seda's family was emotional yet happy to see their daughter start a new life. After hours of celebration, the guests finally departed, leaving the newlyweds alone in their bridal chamber. This was the moment Rajesh had been waiting for, a deeply symbolic night in his culture. He expected intimacy, but more importantly, proof of Seda's purity, As they embraced, Rajesh realized that something was missing. There was no blood. His mind raced. Was she hiding something? Had she deceived him? In a moment of intense anger and betrayal, Rajesh lost control. He confronted Seda, accusing her of dishonoring him and his family. As the argument escalated, his rage turned into violence. Unable to contain his fury, he strangled Seda in a fit of uncontrolled aggression. The room that had been decorated for love and unity became the scene of a brutal crime. The wedding night ended not in passion, but in tragedy. The next morning, family members gathered outside the couple's room, eager to perform traditional morning rituals with the bride and groom. However, after repeated knocks, there was no response. Concern turned into panic. The door was forced open, and what they saw was a nightmare. Seda lay motionless on the floor, her sari disheveled, her bangles broken, and bruises around her neck, clear signs of strangulation. Screams filled the house as her mother collapsed in shock. Rajesh was nowhere to be found. His clothes, phone, and belongings were gone. It was as if he had vanished into thin air. The police were called immediately, and what was supposed to be a morning of joy turned into an active crime scene. Investigators quickly ruled Seda's death a homicide. The prime suspect? Her missing husband. As the investigation began, the police focused on uncovering Rajesh's whereabouts and understanding the motive behind the crime. What drove this man, who had been described as respectful and honorable, to commit such a brutal act? The answers lay within his upbringing, his beliefs, and the deep-rooted pressures of the culture he was raised in. The police wasted no time launching an investigation. They questioned family members, neighbors, and wedding guests, piecing together what had happened. Rajesh's friends revealed that he had always been deeply traditional, and had once said he would never forgive a woman who disrespected his honor. His behavior at the wedding had been normal, but those close to him noticed he had been unusually quiet before entering the bridal chamber. Authorities also examined Seda's background. They discovered that she had been in a previous relationship before marriage, something her family had chosen to keep private. Though this was a normal aspect of modern life, in Rajesh's world, it was an unforgivable betrayal. This revelation confirmed the investigators' suspicions. Rajesh had reacted violently upon realizing Seda was not the pure bride he expected. The police classified the case as a murder driven by cultural conditioning and misplaced honor. The hunt for Rajesh intensified. However, finding him would prove to be a challenge, as he had disappeared without a trace, leaving behind nothing but heartbreak and a shattered family. With Rajesh missing, authorities launched a nationwide manhunt. His phone was switched off, and there were no records of transportation or hotel bookings under his name. Investigators suspected he may have fled to a remote village or even left the country. His family refused to speak, further complicating the search. The case sparked widespread debate on the dangers of honor-based violence and the harmful expectations placed on women. As the search for Rajesh continued, the chilling reality remained. Seda had lost her life over an outdated belief, and her killer was still at large. Will justice ever be served? The search for Rajesh continues.